Do you know what incel means? Some people don't know what it means. It means involuntarily without sex. Celibate. Involuntarily celibate. And that was the original meaning. It was guys who couldn't hook up, couldn't find a girlfriend, couldn't find a wife, although I think wife was way down the list. It has taken on a larger meaning. It's young men usually who are off by themselves, socially awkward to the point that they don't even try any longer, prefer digital interactions above all interactions. If they never have to see people in real life, they don't want to see people in real life. And it has created a whole wave of young men who have changed in the way that not just interactions interpersonally, but in terms of how they choose to engage in storytelling and the sort of stories to which they'll listen. And in response to this, Hollywood's, even over in the UK's version of Hollywood, they want to show incels entertainment from an incel perspective. There's a show in the UK that's actually required viewing in schools. And it was loosely based off of a terrible, terrible crime that occurred in the UK by an immigrant of a certain, well, let's say, from a certain location in the world, changed to a native citizen of the UK from that location in the world, and sort of colored differently, if you know what I mean. So inselling of fiction, what would that mean? It means that young men can no longer consume fiction in the way that you or I might. And it's very, very important to track this because this can mean a huge destabilization of the world. It's another thing, though, that it's a reason that young men have trouble enjoying the Bible because of the way the Bible is written. And I'll show this to you in a second. Now, if you're not adolescent or of adolescent age and you're of a retirement age, let's say you're 5 or 10 or 15 years from retirement, these stories about incels and about incel fiction and about pushing this storyline back to those young people, this has an effect on their retirement, believe it or not, because their form of destabilization is going to lead to destabilization of markets. So if you're 5, 10, 15 years from retirement, you have this coming. Meanwhile, are we going to war with Iran? What's that going to do to energy prices? Right now, oil prices are sinking. Is that a buy signal? My friend Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer, Bulwark Capital Management, is obsessed with one particular thing in managing money, and that is risk management. Zach does this by actively managing every single portfolio. So why don't you do this? Why don't you take him up on an offer to have your own Doge? This is Department of Retirement Efficiency, or maybe say it DOR. Zach Abraham will get with you on a video call. He'll meet with you and your spouse in person, or if it's just you in that case, he'll do a phone call with you. He will do this in 3 steps. First meeting is chatting with Zach to see if you like him, if he likes you. Why would you have someone manage your money if you don't like them? Second call is really about understanding your goals and your risk tolerance and how long you have to retire, going through your assets, your home, your equity, what you've saved, what you haven't saved. Are you working? Do you want to continue to work? And on that third meeting, Zach and his team will give you a proposal. Now, the proposal might be this: stay where you're at. Don't come to us. You're well managed. Don't make any changes because that would be risky. That happens a lot. It might be that the proposal is, here's how we think we can save you costs. Here's how we can save you fees. Here's how we can make you manage better for risk. And here's how we can help you take advantage of things like volatility. All these options, they're free. At no point do you pay for these 3 meetings. All of it's free education. So go to knowyourriskpodcast.com. That's knowyourriskpodcast.com and take Zach up on this free, no obligation offer. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 25-217. There's a dad who just about, well, he's lost his kids. Not fully lost, but he lost them through the madness of gender confusion. And he's taken to Twitter and he's become pretty proficient there. He read an extract of something that literary agents are writing about kids and young men and how young readers, young boys, teens, how they consume fiction. They can't read third-person omniscient views in novels. They want first person. And this is some of the reasons why. Young readers struggle with third-person omniscience, and publishers see it clearly. A voice that knows too much, moves too freely, speaks with judgment, feels alien. Readers call it confusing or even arrogant, but the root cause is deeper. They weren't trained to read that kind of mind. In school, the research papers vanished. The essay took its place. Not the old essay of Montaigne, but the modern essay that is personal, expressive, and narrow. The essay says, write what you feel, stay in your lane, don't presume to speak for others. But omniscient narration does speak for others. It sees broadly, it interprets it compares. It dares to suggest what people think, even when they don't say it. The research paper taught students to gather knowledge outside themselves, weigh perspectives, judge sources, and reach beyond their own head. That form is nearly gone. Teachers don't assign research papers, and they don't teach the research method. Never having contemplated a world outside themselves, young people can't follow a narrative voice that thinks more widely than I feel. We raise readers who expect a singular viewpoint, one consciousness, and no moral authority. So when the voice of a novel dares to sound like a mind greater than the character's own, they flinch. They call it false. They stop reading. This is not a failure of fiction, it's a failure of education. We stop teaching students to think beyond the self. Now they can't follow stories that do that. The incelling of the mind. Remember involuntarily celibate? This is a form of intellectual celibacy, not interacting with others, not knowing how to gather data before you make an opinion. And this goes along with Common Core that intermingled opinion with feelings. You can't have an opinion about something without having gathered facts about that something. You can have a feeling about it. It feels wrong. It feels scary. It feels like it won't work. And those feelings are genuine and okay, but they're not opinions. But this is what Common Core called an opinion. This is also a reason young men have problems with the Bible. Because the Bible is written from the third person omniscient point of view, the only truly omniscient point of view. And it draws moral conclusions because God himself is the law. He is truth. He is light. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one goes to the Father but through him. So the Bible feels very alien to kids. In fact, I've talked to young kids about the Old Testament where God will say, I am the Lord. Do this, I am the Lord. And I've had young people say to me, why does God have to keep saying that? It's so stuck up. It's so arrogant. Because he's reminding people, I'm telling you to do this, and you should do this because I am the authority. I am truth. I am nature. I am consequences. I am action. I am reaction. I am all things. It's not bragging. God doesn't need to brag. It's reminding us. Why should I do it this way? Because I'm God. And I know you because I made you. So the intellectual incelling of kids makes it very, very difficult for them to draw information from others, to respect others' opinions, to draw out facts before they reach conclusions, and they'll turn away from things like the Bible, or in this case, specifically the Bible. And Hollywood knows this. Hollywood, who helped create the incel, is now marketing incels back to incels. There's a show in the UK called Adolescence, and it is actually required viewing in some schools there. This is a sample of what it's like. A young boy who has no control over his emotions.
If you do not sit, look up! You want to sit down! You do not tell me when to sit down! You do not control what I... Look at me now!
So lack of emotional control, finds himself in handcuffs, in a police station, being interrogated, crying with his father, resenting the entire system, smirking at 40, and obvious and pure hatred.
That's a great dad, but we made them.
So my dad made me. What did I make Dad?
It's difficult to come away from that not feeling sad, and even great parents can have kids who go off the rails. The story of adolescence is the story of anger turned inward to a point where it finally explodes. It's incel behavior from an emotional perspective, but most importantly, incel from this, from knowing God. Involuntarily celibate becomes involuntarily intellectually celibate, becomes involuntarily celibate from God. If you knock, he will answer. Jesus wants to know you. Don't be involuntarily spiritually celibate. And worse, don't be voluntarily celibate in terms of a relationship with God. Not, of course, a sexual one. The only one that really matters, an abiding one.